So we've suddenly got all these Labor premiers rushing over to China, to the Chinese dictatorship, saying, we should be friends. You know, you had Daniel Andrews last week. You've got the premiers of West Australia, Queensland saying now, well, we're about to go to, saying today, later this year. And in fact, WA's Mark McGowan was even saying, well, look, it's been a big mistake to talk about China as a threat. And Premier Daniel Andrews, though, here's the worst. He's even said, of course, he did not even mention on his own visit last week to China the case of Australian journalist Cheng Lei, who's been in jail for more than 2 years already after she was falsely accused of being a threat to China's national security, leaving her unable to speak to her children in Melbourne for all that time. Not my business, said Daniel Andrews yesterday.
I'm a sub-sovereign leader of a government, of a state. If I meet with my equivalent in another sub-sovereign province, we're not talking about foreign policy. We're not talking about defence policy.
Joining me is Cheng Lei's partner, Nick Coyle. Nick, thank you so much for your time. You asked Premier Andrews through his office to do something to help Cheng Lei on his visit to China. What response did you get?
Unfortunately, I haven't got a response. So I did try to contact his office last Sunday. And yeah, I never got a response on Monday or Tuesday and haven't since, I'm afraid.
I find that just appalling. But is the Premier right to say, well, look, foreign policy, that's really for the federal government and it's not for him?
Oh, look, in that sense, yes. I mean, I don't disagree with him that foreign policy is, of course, principally the role of the federal government. My point, had I had a chance to talk to his office, would have been that I think it's very important for Lei's case to be raised by Australian officials at as high a level as possible. That Lei's a Victorian, the children, of course, residents of Victoria, and I'm sure that him adding his voice to some issues such as being able to have contact with the kids, and I think also raising the general issue that whilst this highly unsatisfactory situation with her detention continues, it does significant damage to the bilateral relationship, and that of course isn't particularly good for business and people-to-people ties between Victoria and China. So they're the sorts of issues that I thought the Premier could be raising in the context of his visit.
Now, she faced the trial. Our ambassador was locked out of it. That was a year ago. She's still waiting for a decision. Why do you actually think she is in jail?
Andrew, I'm being honest with you here, and I genuinely have no idea. It's never made sense to me from 2.5 years ago. It doesn't make sense to me today. I've not got any special level of insight, so I'm in the dark as much as anybody is. So I don't know. And as I said, it's never made any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, that's why I guess I've been fairly consistent in saying, look, we just need a resolution to this situation, and Lei needs to be home with her kids because the kids need her and she needs the kids.
Yeah, look, speculations mounted whether it was a social media post where she criticised the Chinese authorities for the handling of the coronavirus when it first broke, whether she was a hostage in China's diplomacy with Australia. No one seems to know, and we're not made any clearer. But how is she now going in jail? Have you got any idea?
Yeah, I do. She's able to write to me, although those letters tend to take a little while to get, cleared, as it were. So there was a consular visit, not last week, the week before, and I got a letter from her. Look, she's going okay. I mean, look, it's obviously an enormously difficult situation that she's in, but in terms of her mental well-being, her physical well-being, all of those sorts of things, look, I think she's doing as well as anybody could in the situation that she's in. So she continues to show remarkable strength and resilience. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, she's about the strongest person I know. So if anybody's going to get through this and get to the other side she will. So, and look, you know, my job, as it were, is just to be as supportive as possible and remain patient and persistent.
And just finally, I don't want to intrude on their privacy, so feel free to skip the answer, but the two constituents of Daniel Andrews involved here, the children, how are they dealing with this?
Oh, look, they're okay. Look, you know, kids have that sort of capacity to just deal with what's in front of them. And so, look, they're okay. I mean, they miss their mum. Of course they do. And Leigh misses them. So it's terribly difficult. But, you know, they'll get through it. They've got a great support network around them. And they'll get through it, as will Leigh. And look, as if this situation could be resolved as quickly as possible, it's great for them. It's great for Leigh. I think it also removes what is a significant, if you like, public relations obstacle to, you know, the Premier's efforts and other premiers and the government's efforts to try and get the relationship back on track. And look, as somebody who was, shall we say, the coalface of bilateral relations for a number of years, it's something I'd like to see happen too.
Well, it doesn't seem to be getting in the way of Daniel Andrews' relationship with China. Let me tell you that, I'm afraid, Nick Coyle. Thank you so much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure, Andrew, and thank you to you for your support, Annalise and the whole Sky team.
Annalise has been fantastic on this. I'll pass that on. Thank you.